I just turned 21. I'm officially at the age of majority in all significant regions. So, I declare that teenagers suck, both being one and being around them. You're a bundle of resentment towards all the people trying to help you because the world has taught you not to trust anyone. After all the other teenagers are mean and resentful towards you as well. Personally, I feel embarrassed at who I used to be a few short years ago, and I never want to be reminded how stupid I used to be for the rest of my life. So I groan whenever I'm confronted with moody teenagers because they're an uncomfortable reminder that I used to be a moron. But there is one notable exception to the angsty teen trope that wasn't only not annoying, but was loudly praised as one of the best characterizations in video games that no one found irritating in the least. Ellie from The Last of Us Part 1. So what's the secret to making an angry teenager work when games like Bully and Life is Strange have made characters appear grating and immature for their apathetic attitudes? To teenagers, experiencing the media and seeing angsty teens on screen is a powerful message that resonates really strongly with them. It shows that they are not as alone as they think they are, and that other people are going through the same stuff they are. But to adults, these characters come off as cringy teens who are immaturely rejecting everything around them. They think it's akin to throwing a tantrum, even though they went through the exact same thing, and as they gained more independence in their lives, the memories of that emotional pain faded away. It happened to me too. When I played Life is Strange 1, Chloe was my favourite character. She was someone fighting back against the world and letting her independent spirit be heard, screaming "I matter" at the top of her lungs. When I replayed the game for the remaster, after I had moved past the difficult times in my life, I found that I didn't resonate with the character anymore and just found her profoundly stupid in how she encourages Max to mess around and do dangerous stuff with time travel. Because I was in a happier place in life, I couldn't remember what it was like to feel so helpless. I still remember that feeling of being alone and worthless, but that rage at the world around me has faded into the depths of my memories. As I became a more analytical person, I began to lose touch with the passionate characters I once adored. I think this is why many people's favourite games are the ones they played in their childhood. As you grow up, you leave those intense feelings of attachment behind, and you can't get invested in anything as much as you did when you were a kid. But I've played The Last of Us Part 1 many times over, and no matter what my personal life looked like at the time, I got on board with Ellie every time, and I never thought she was just acting out. So how did Naughty Dog do this? Through relatable motivations. Real-world teens only feel like the world is out to get them, but for Ellie, the world is literally out to get her. Be it for food, pleasure, or a cure, everyone outside of Jackson's walls wants something awful from Ellie. So where teens would normally lash out at a cold, indifferent world, Ellie is just defending herself from a world lashing out at her, and that's all she's ever known, the depressed, vulgar environment that houses all manner of monsters and infected. It's not only an appropriate response to be hateful, it's expected. And I want to focus a bit more on that all she's ever known part. I cannot praise The Last of Us' setting enough. Not a fresh, chaos-ridden apocalypse, nor one that has settled into a new society, but one where the remnants of the old world lay still, but far from dead. It's one of the genius parts of The Last of Us' setting, though like many things in the game, it's taken from Cormac McCarthy's novel The Road. But where it makes this setting of a calmed but fresh apocalypse its own is through Ellie. With the world so miserable for Ellie to grow up in, it makes sense that she's such a hostile and moody character, with her rage exacerbated by the authoritarian rule she grew up under, making her far more rebellious and violent than modern teenagers. There's a fire inside her that refuses to go out. But this serves as a great foil to Joel, who has lost all sense of humanity and hope, because he knows what the old world was like. He's painfully aware of what was lost, and how he could never hope to get it back. So he shifts through life, waiting to die, and when he meets Ellie, he's like water to her fire. They get on each other's nerves because Ellie is so angry and full of energy and the desire to keep fighting for something, while Joel is cold and emotionless. He gave up years ago, like the rest of humanity, who remembers how things used to be, and he sees Ellie's fire as simple angst and rebellion, which he hates because her passion uncomfortably reminds him of the fire that once burned inside of him, inside of all of us. And that's what makes Ellie's angst work. In other media, the angsty teen is shown in contrast to the satisfied adults, and to adult viewers, the teenager comes off as whiny and foolish. But in The Last of Us, that angst is the only strong emotion left in the world. So it's infectious, and it inspires the viewer to root for Ellie because she's the only one still trying to live a happier life. I'll be back in 2 days, but in the meantime, here's an essay about who the protagonist of The Last of Us Part 3 should be.